In 2021, governors from the southern region of Nigeria came together and unanimously declared that the 2023 presidential ticket be zoned to the south of Nigeria. This has, however, brought about several controversies about Nigeria's leadership structure and Nigeria's unity, and has remained a major debate as we approach the 2023 general elections. What then is the way forward? In this episode, I had a chat with the public affairs analyst Damilola Abodunrin, who opined that Nigeria needs a national leader and not a zonal president. Do enjoy. So we're back again on another exciting episode of The Insider. And I have with me my brother, my friend, a wonderful analyst, Damilola Abodunrin in the building. Such a pleasure to have you.
Yes, it's my pleasure to always be with you. Okay.
So the discussion, the debate on zoning is one of the major arguments right now, one of the major debates as we approach 2023 general elections. And I feel it's important that we understand the concept of all of this and what we need and possibly a solution to this. But before we get into it, I think it's okay to look at the history. Nigeria, as we know today, started with 1914, where Lord Lugard amalgamated all the different regions together. And there was also a time where Nigeria was regionalized, where we had the Western region and all of that. After which it was now known as Nigeria, where we have everything together, 36 states and all that.
Yeah.
Let's look at Nigeria as a whole. Do you think that Nigeria is united at this time?
Well, I must say that unlike never before, Nigeria has never been this divided, I must say. Before we got into the democratic era of governance in 1999 under the administration of President Olusegun Obasanjo, before then, we've had different style of leadership, the military, and over and over again, repeatedly. I must tell you that even during the time of the military, Nigeria was never this divided. So, going forward since then, after democracy, this is the time we've had it the worst. So, to answer that your question, Nigeria is at the most divided moment it can ever be. We have never seen agitations from the southwest, from the northeast, from the southwest, which happens to be one of the most quiet region. You know, this is the most divisive moment we've ever found ourselves in the nation.
So what brought about this divisiveness?
Well, I must say that when you try to build a building on a foundation that is faulty, you can't have anything. You know, so I love to make reference to that Bible verse that says, if the foundation is faulty, what can the righteous do? Over time, I must say that the people that put together this entity called Nigeria, they are the Igiworoko, that is try to put it in Yoruba. They are the ones that are responsible for where we found ourselves. So I must say that the people that put together this entity called Nigeria are the ones responsible. And I love the fact that you spoke about your intro saying the 1914 amalgamation by Lord Lugard. In fact, this is one of the major problems that we had. So, you know, when you hand over the nation with a template that you don't know what will come afterwards, this is where we found ourselves. When they were handing it over, they had the likes of Nnamdi Azikiwe, they had the Muritala Mohammeds, they had the Obafemi Awolowos. But now what we have is the Muhammadu Buharis that also existed then, but it doesn't look like they're ready to uphold that unity that brought us together. So for me, what led to it? Bad leadership led to it. What led to it? The people that started this, that they didn't think of the unforeseeable future, led to this.
So was it that having in Nigeria was not possible, or it was just that it was not put together in the right way?
Well, I must tell you that Nigeria is a beautiful country. Having Nigeria was one of the best things that could ever have happened to Africa.
Okay.
That's the truth. Because before now, we've had Nigeria as the giant of Africa. Before now, we've had Nigeria talking about our military forces. Our military forces happens to be one of the best military forces, land forces in the world. You know, talking about our military architecture, talking about our intellectual capacity of the Niger area, that's Nigeria. Yes, it's second to none. Talking about our natural resources, brilliant ideas. That was what brought together this entity called Nigeria. But for me, I would like to say greed, selfishness. bad leadership, the lack of transparency, lack of accountability, lack of the fear of God, brought us to this place where it now looks like as if Nigeria was a mistake. The days of the regional Nigeria, we didn't have all of this to mess with. When Southwest was going at their pace, when the Yorubas were going at their pace, when the Igbos were going at their pace, when the Hausas were going at their pace, we didn't have all of this problem. But the very attempt to give leadership to the Hausas and give education to us and give business to the Southeasterners and all of that, that was where we started this problem from. That's how we got here. So Nigeria is a beautiful thing, but managing that Nigeria is the problem.
So now that we understand that Nigeria is something that it's hard to manage, so why do you think it has been hard to manage after several efforts by several governments? Because we have several governments coming and go, and it looks like no one has the capacity to manage the country.
Well, I must say that President Olusegun Obasanjo managed our diversities to an extent.
Okay.
After President Olusegun Obasanjo, when Yar'Adua took over, he did also manage our diversities to an extent. Goodluck Jonathan also did manage diversities to an extent. The inception of the war, now I'll say division war, or the war against the country Nigeria, started during the Goodluck Jonathan's dispensation, but it didn't start as a war against Nigeria. It started as a war against Western education by the Boko Haram sect. There had always been other farmers' crises far back as 1999. But Obasanjo, one way or the other, was able to manage it. And we really didn't hear that particular crisis in Goodluck Jonathan's administration, but we are hearing all of it now in this administration. When President Olusegun Obasanjo was going to get into office as president, it was more like a compensation plan for MKO Abiola in 1993. So the Southwest really didn't have a reason to want to agitate. The handing over of the presidency to Northern Nigeria in 2015 was as a result of the South having led on 2 occasions, so we want to give it to the North so as to create a fair balance.
Okay.
So I must tell you that it's not like they've not been able to manage it. But like I said, this administration, this is the worst of it. So it is this administration in particular that had not been able to manage Nigeria's diversity in 8 years. In fact, all what we are saying is the ripple effect of 8 years. If you can rewind as far as 2015, the worst we had was the case of Chibok girls. I remember that yesterday, April the 14th, was 8 years anniversary of Chibok girls. You understand? So that's to tell you that it's under this administration that we've really had it at its worst. Goodluck Jonathan started it, but Buhari shattered it. That's the idea. Buhari just came and spoiled the whole thing completely. And I must tell you that I might not also fault him, because a good number of Nigerians went to the ballot with the plan that, General Muhammadu Buhari, a retired general, will be able to handle the security issues of this country. So we were in safe hands in 2015. But rather than undo the security, that security now even led to division. Because some ethnic groups believe that, we are the ones at the center, so we have a place we can run to. And that was the inception of this division that I found ourselves. So to answer that your question, we've had administrations that have managed it, maybe not perfectly well, because even during President Olusegun Obasanjo's administration, we had the people that were still fighting the Ojukus, that's the Igbos. They still had their Ojuku agitations, even though it was not loud. Even during Goodluck Jonathan's regime, he had a way of managing the Niger Delta boys, the militants. He had a way of managing them by giving them regular payments, and all of that. And that's why the likes of the Okubo could not say anything again and all of that. But this administration, it's completely out of it.
So let's talk about this current administration.
Okay.
Like you made mention, people thought general it should be, and beyond that, this is someone who had been in administration way back as 1970s, 1980s, and all have thought that he knew better. But what do you think caused a sort of incapability on his own part to manage the nation?
With all due respect to our dear president, I believe so much in regarding people in position of authority and power.
Okay.
So with that established, I would want to mention that these words I'll probably say on this particular note are not with respect to trying to disrespect him as a person, but they are only born out of the failures of this present day administration. So in that vein, I'd love to answer that question. I was watching a particular interview on Politics Today, Seun Okinbaloye, where he was interviewing one of the youngest presidential aspirants, and he asked that person a question. What do you think is the cause of the Nigerian problem? And you know his answer? He said Buhari. And I laughed. And I was like,
Like, seriously.
So Buhari. So Seun Okinbaloye then said, explain to me how is Buhari. And he said, since Buhari lost his mental capacity to be able to manage this nation, he lost it all. At that moment, the Nigerian part of me felt like, you're not supposed to insult our president like that. Why would you say our president does not have the mental capacity? And Seun Okinbaloye said, President Muhammadu Buhari is the one in the House of Villa and all of that. But would you fault a Nigerian that thinks that way? How will you be a father of a house and your wife suddenly leaves home and says she wants her own home? Your first child leaves home and says he wants his own. The second child leaves home and says he wants his own. The third child leaves home and says he wants his own. Don't you understand that there is a problem with you not being able to harmonize your home as the head of the family? So, what exactly went wrong under President Muhammadu Buhari's administration? Sincerely yours, I don't know. But if there's something I can preempt went wrong, it's not the mental capacity of our Mr. President, but I think it's the ability to carry out actions as expected. That's the problem. So it's not about the willpower to think or know what is going wrong. It's about the willpower to carry out corresponding actions that would arrest situations. Now you might want to ask me why I'm saying the willpower to act. When APC was going to have their recently concluded national convention, suddenly from nowhere, Buni and his deputy had issues. Governor Rufai came out and said, Mr. President said Buni's tenure is over. When Buni traveled for a medical trip, that the second person, maybe Sani Bello, I really can't remember his name, should take over. That's the governor of Niger State, should take over. And suddenly, Buhari spoke from London and said, no way. Let Governor Buni complete that tenure as the caretaker chairman, and all positions will be by consensus. And he further went on to say all governors should comply with his directive as the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if the president can come out from nowhere and pass such an authority, grandstandingly saying that this is what I want and all of you must be compelled to follow the instruction that I'm giving you, then you understand that Mr. President is not lost on what is happening. Mr. President knows what is happening, but he has probably decided not to act like he did during the APC convention. He was there at the Eagle Square in Abuja at National Convention. He sat down. Some aspirants were crying on the stage. It didn't stop the fact that consensus must hold. Even in the position of the national woman leader that led to so much fracas, they had to eventually comply to consensus. So that's to tell you that the Mr. President knows but has refused to act. So me, I want to run under the guise of mental capacity. Maybe Mr. President is old. Maybe he's not too hands-on with some things, but I know that he knows. But I think the problem is when you surround yourself with people like you would have a problem. So you cannot go beyond the people that are your think tank. That is where I think the problem is. Very recently, the president granted an interview. He had an interview with Seun Okinbaloye of Channels TV, and he was asked, what about 2023 election? His response is, I don't know anything about it. That's to tell you that something is wrong somewhere. Is that the cabals that are surrounded the Mr. President has placed the Mr. President in a handcuffed position whereby he can only wish to act but is not going to act, or somehow the Mr. President himself I think has just gotten the honor which he wants as being the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, because this is not the first time he has been running for president. He ran in 2003, he ran in 2007, he ran in 2011, before he now came back in 2015. And so it was like the fifth attempt before he became president. So I think maybe it was just about wanting to be president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. He wasn't really concerned about the successes of the failures of the administration, or maybe he was before he got into office, but on getting into office, the cabals probably just handicapped him. So for me, I think he has the mental capacity, but I think he has not just.
So you made, now that you made mention of the cabals, what are these cabals? Because we keep hearing cabals, but we don't see them in person. Nobody has been able to say these are the cabals. So who are these cabals?
Well, in the beginning of the administration, there's these people they call the Daura people. That's like the caucus. Remember, sometimes ago, the wife of the president came out and said that her husband was not the one in charge of running this administration. Some people are somewhere calling the shots. And I think those are the kingsmen of the Mr. President. Now, looking forward into the second administration, you hear presidency said, not the president said, Malami, Gabashew, all of them shooting shots. Before the COVID demise of this former SSG secretary, before this Gambari man took over, Abba Kyari.
Okay, yes.
Kyari, he was also one of the cabals. So the cabals, there are a lot of them. Maybe sometimes you go to Nubu, used to be part of the cabal, but now he's out of the cabal because I don't think him and the president are on the same campaign longer. But for me, cabals are just the power brokers, the people that calls the shot for the president.
How should I put this now? Who made them? They
made themselves. They've been in the game since God knows when. Even the likes of Babangida's are cabals. Babangida was one time head of this Federal Republic of Nigeria. So he is also part of the cabals. Look at all the presidential aspirants now. They will go and greet Babangida, the same Babangida that started corruption in Nigeria. The same Babangida that is known that, in fact, if there's one thing his administration is known for, his administration is synonymous to corruption. In fact, they said that he is the inception of corruption in Nigeria. The people that started putting our refineries, started making sure that our refineries will be moribund, because they have refineries across the seas, because they want to take our petrol there to go and refine in those places so that they can probably escape money laundering cases from the international community. So it's going to be like Nigeria is doing a business with them and they are bringing the petrol back to the shore. Those are the people that started it. So those ones too are part of the cabals. Everybody that has power, that has money, that has influence, that has been calling the shot for years are the cabals.
From this administration now to zoning.
Okay.
But before we talk about zoning, another major argument that I feel is sort of connected to this issue of zoning is the question of true federalism.
Yes.
There have been arguments on devolving power, making sure that states can stand independently, that most especially in security-wise, where state governor can call the shots as far as calling on security agencies, considering tax to and all that. How can we solve the issue of this federalism? How can we ensure that we are practicing true federalism?
Well, I have to dance to some people's sentiments here. As a news analyst, I wake up every morning to the newspapers and I listen to the feedback of people. And over time, they've said, and I quote, "This 1999 constitution is a scam." Over and over again, they've established that. If you go back to the 1963 constitution, when we had a regional style of governance, when we at least practiced a level of federalism, where the southern leaders had the way they ran their system, the northern leaders had the way they ran their system, that time everybody was going at their own pace. It was beautiful. Then suddenly the creation of so many other states, suddenly putting us all under one particular administration present. Ramfak, the current revenue sharing formula that was distributed. For reference sake, for getting the particular figures, I'd love to put the figures figuratively, word for word. Before, we used to have 52.68%. Revenue sharing formula, allocation goes to the center. The states have 26.72%, the local government have 20.60%. Now they are proposing 45.17% from 52% to the federal government. 26% formerly with the state, 29% now. So that's just like a 3% increase. 20% to local government before, now 21% now, just 1% increase. And from the federal government, just about a 7% decrease from federal government. Now, how do you want to practice true federalism when you have everything going to the center? It's not possible. I stumbled on an interview by Governor Kayode Fayemi very recently, and he was saying that Nigeria cannot practice true federalism with the way the system is run. In fact, the Nigerian constitution does not recognize local government as an entity. That's the shocking part. Most people just don't know. It was when Kayode Fayemi was saying it that I now saw into it. The way the system is run, it puts the local government as an administrative part of the state government. And there's no how you want to practice federalism like that. The places where we copied federalism from, they practice state structures, and the federal government has its own structure. We can't run it this way. So the solution, practicing true federalism, we have to first break down that constitution. But I would love to say that institutions, yes, but people make institutions. A lot of people say that, institutions make people. When you keep institutions in such a way that when you come in, if you are bad, the institution can trim you. Look at an example of President Donald Trump that probably never wanted to leave the United States of America, but the American institution made it compulsory for him to leave. So people are saying, if you had good institutions in Nigeria, that would solve the problem. But me, I'm saying, if we had good people in Nigeria, it is good people that will write and build that institutions. It is when the institutions is now built by those good people that will now have future generations complying to that institution. So for me, I would say people are responsible for the problem that we have. They come to Oyo State here, the local government chairmen are enjoying their life. Why? Because they have a governor that's ready to give them opportunity to undo their affairs by themselves. When the governor first came in, he first gave them security money. Now let them go to your local government, ensure that you're able to arrest security by giving them about, I think, is it 10 billion now or 10 million, around that figure, to ensure that you can arrest security in your immediate environment. They are giving their money part time so as to ensure that they can undo their businesses by themselves. That is how we should rule. That's how we should be. But if we had a governor like the former governor of Oyo State that probably sat down on it and gave them stipend out of it and ensured that they had to come to the center to defend whatever they wanted to do before they eventually did at the local government, you won't have true federalism that way. So I feel we should have people that will be ready to build functional institutions. Then we can now come back to the constitution.
Talking about the constitution,
yes,
people commended the present administration too for at least making efforts to see that the constitution is reviewed and amended. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I must tell you that it's a sham. That's the first thing.
Why is that?
It's a sham. The way the Nigerian system is run, you can't amend the constitution from the center.
Okay.
Senators and the House of Reps will pass a bill, want to amend constitution. Then it has to go to the State House of Assemblies, which it is now.
Which Oyo State has currently gotten to.
But who is in charge of the State House of Assemblies? The governors.
Okay.
So if the governors are not in support, you have a problem. So we are only fooling ourselves when we are saying we want to review the constitution and the governors are telling you that they have a problem with some parts of that constitution and you probably never listen to them, but you want it to go to the House of Assembly and you think it's going to pass.
So how is it meant to be?
So what I feel, like I said earlier, when we have people that are formidable, when we have people that are ready to stand their ground and are men of integrity, that way we can start. Then number two, when we also have a legislative arm that is free of the executive. Not a case whereby the governor is calling the shot and the speaker cannot say anything. Because at the end of the day, if the governor does not append the signature on the money that the speaker needs, the speaker can't get anything. So eventually the speaker will need to dance to the tune of the governor. So the bureaucracy of the Nigerian system is too much. It's too much. Why do we have so that I don't have to digress away from the point? It's a good one, but one of the big issues I have is out of all of that amendment, they didn't mention state police. They didn't mention state police.
Yes.
And that's one of the major things that we need. So the question we'll be asking ourselves at the end of the day, are the senators and reps sitting for sitting sake or sitting for Nigerian sake? That's the big question we need to ask ourselves. At a point in time, they put it in that amendment that the principal officers of the House should be entitled to lifelong pension. Senate President, Deputy Senate President, Speaker, and Deputy Speaker. Is that not the slap on Nigerian people's face? But the senators didn't pass it because it didn't include the senators. Imagine that bill said all senators are entitled to lifelong pension. Trust me, that bill will pass. So at the end of the day, it looks as if they're only serving their own interest. But the beautiful part of all the amendments at the end of the day is the Electoral Act part. And that even Electoral Act, at the end of the day, it's a fight of the executive versus the legislature. So it is we civilians, bloody civilians like yourself and I, are the ones that are enjoying it. So for me, it's a very good step. At least gradually, you can't amend all in a day. It's a good step in the right direction. But if we don't take note of the governors, at the end of the day, all of this will be wasted effort.
So, talking about zoning now, I feel that what brought about this zoning was that people were sort of clamoring. It was from a place of agitation. Like, people felt that it was only one region that has been handling this power for quite a long time. But obviously now, in the two major political parties, the debate is still there. They are not even sure, especially the People's Democratic Party. The zoning committee said, let us throw it out open. But certain governors are saying, no, don't throw it out open, that will be unjust and all that. Where do we go from here?
First off, history is very beautiful.
Which is why I started with the amalgamation story.
It's very beautiful, so I was doing a little bit of research very recently, and I went to Nigerian leaders since 1960. I must tell you, in all sincerity, the North has had it more than the South. Before democracy started, 1999, go check. We had more Northern leaders because that was how they structured the Nigerian system. So we had more Northern leaders ruling us, less South.
Sorry to cut you. When you said that was how they structured
it. That's how they structured it. The Lord Lugard, they made it look like the North had a natural entitlement to getting power. And that mentality is still sinking in their head, and they need to decongest that mentality or else they will scatter this country. Nobody's entitled to power in this country. Nobody, absolutely nobody, no region. If you cannot produce yourself as a national entity that would understand the diversities, Nigeria has about 500 languages. Do you know what that means? That is nothing less than 200 different cultural and ethnic groups. Do you know what that? About 250. That's to tell you that we are multifaceted. In fact, the beauty of Nigeria is unity in diversity. So no one person can come to say that we are in charge. But if you look at the demographics today, going by Wikipedia, quoting Wikipedia 2018, it says that Northern Nigeria has about 30% of the population. Southern Nigeria, Southwest Nigeria has about 15%. Hausa, let me just put it that way. Hausa, 30%. Yorubas, 15%, 15 point something percent. Igbos, 15 point something percent. They are the third. Fulanis, 6 point something percent. Then like that, then we have others. Others have like 25%. So that's to tell you that Nigeria is divided on different fronts. So this issue of zoning or no zoning, let me tell you, there's nothing called zoning in the Nigerian constitution. But the Nigerian constitution, there's a provision in the Nigerian constitution that says that there must be a fair share of everything that we have. And that's why you find out that if the president is from somewhere, the vice president will be from a different place, the speaker will be from a different place, the deputy speaker will be from a different place, the senate president will be from a different place, and the deputy senate president. Then we also have the ministerial nominations from the 36 states plus the FCT, you understand? Then we also have all of these commissioners. So that's why they distribute it so as to ensure that you all get a fair
federal character.
Federal character. So that's what the constitution recognizes. So going forward from here, I've said this over and over again, I don't care where the president of Nigeria comes from. North, South, I don't care. But what I care about is a presidential candidate that understands that Nigeria has 500 languages and over 250 cultural diverse groups, and understands that Hausa is not different from Yoruba, and understand that Yoruba is not different from Urhobo, and understand that Urhobo is not different from Igbo, and understand that Igbo is not different from Fulani, that when you commit an offense, the same offense that a Yoruba man will commit and be beheaded is the same offense an Hausa man commits, and he must also be beheaded. A person that understands that when somebody steals pensioners' funds, the person is as good as already killing the older generation. So let the person be sent to life imprisonment. Not that you send him to 3 years imprisonment or 6 years imprisonment and say that he has already served 3 years when the case was going about in court from one particular court to the other, and at the end of the day, let us have a Nigeria that is fair. A national identity president is what we need. We don't need a president from South. All this while, how has Northern presidency or Southern presidency favored us as a country? Today, President Muhammadu Buhari is from Katsina State. He's a Northern president. The number of killings that we've had in Northern Nigeria, if not because there's war between Ukraine and Russia, I could almost tell you that they've not had that number in Ukraine and Russia. The numbers that we have in Nigeria is more than what they have in Russia and Ukraine. Over the course of the week, the papers had it that there was a report from Nigerian Security Watch that between January to March 2022, close to 3,000 people had been killed in Nigeria. About 1,400 and something people has been abducted in Nigeria.
Yes, I saw that.
Imagine, the April 13th or April 14th, we are celebrating Leah Shaibu's 8 years in detention. Is that what we should be hearing as a nation? UNICEF released a report today, April 15th, that 11,563 schools has been shut between December 2020 and now. About 1.3 million children were not able to participate in 2020-2021 academic session because of insecurity problem. And the president is from where? Northern Nigeria. So how has the president been from Northern Nigeria favored them? Oh, the railway from Katsina to Maradi.
And the airport.
Is that supposed to be? When you build infrastructures and at the end of the day, the infrastructures that you build are brought down by bandits. The same bandits had attacked Kaduna Abuja railway. The same bandits attacked the rail line. The same infrastructure that this administration is boasting of. So for me, I think over time, the presidency being from one region or the other has not favored Nigerians. We need someone that understands how to be able to shoulder responsibilities of leadership from the leadership front. Not someone that will be a coward, not someone that will not be able to confront the cabals, not someone that is not intellectually sound enough, not someone that cannot connect with the emotions and the empathy of the people. It will shock you to know that 106 people were killed in Plateau State overnight. Mass burial was done for them. 25 people were killed the next day in Benue State. How did we get it wrong in this country? And we have military, we have the president, we have governors serving in those states. The governor of Benue State, Governor Otom, Samuel Otom, he had to say that defend yourselves. And the primary obligation of any administration is to ensure that you protect the lives and properties of the people. So how has regional presidency favored us? It has never favored us. So what we need is someone that carries a nationalistic ideal. And trust me, this is not praising him. President Olusegun Obasanjo was the best of the democracy eras that we've had. Even though his administration was also flawed, but his administration is the best so far because every other administration afterwards has been so shabby. To wrap this all, today as I speak with you, we have about 37 presidential aspirants running for the seat of the number one position in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Is that not a slap on the face of this country? 37. That's
and we still have more that may come.
They've lowered the standard of the presidency. That place is now seen as a place where any Tom, Dick and Harry can just say, I want to lead. What is the pedigree that you have that you want to use to lead? But when you already have a country that is divided, you already have a country that is going through economic woes, you already have a country where education does not stand, you have a country where unemployment is at the highest, you have a country where poverty is leading, you have a country where everything is just looking like we have no leadership. So you have what we have today. So for me, in summary, for this, where do we go from here? Where we need to go is look for quality leadership, regardless of wherever the person is from. look for political leadership. Yeah, I would have said that we don't even want anybody that ever held a democratic office in this country. Let's have fresh legs. Let's make our mistakes again. Let us correct our mistakes again. But the fresh legs that we have, let it be someone that has the idea of leadership upstairs.
Thank you very much. I like the fact that you made mention of 37 aspirants, and I want to link it to how you made mention of national leader. So how can a typical Nigerian citizen at this time, we're at a point where we are deciding right now, where the citizen are at a point where they have to decide ahead of 2023.
Yes.
So what should they look for in choosing leaders, especially a national leader? What are those things that they should look for?
First things first, if you've never run a business of your own, or you don't have an empire of your own that you've probably built from scratch to finish without having political funds being involved, you don't deserve to be president of Federal Republic of Nigeria. So we need technocrats.
We need technocrats.
Yes, people that have gone through their own business system, that have been able to build a thing of their own, that we've seen that have served in the capacity before, that is their own. That's number one. Number two, we need somebody that is going to be able to understand that this is leadership. And most times you can't tell until when you give the person an opportunity to try. But at least let us see how that person has led some people before, or a group of people before. Dangote today has never held any political office in Nigeria, but we also know that he has also been a benefactor of the Nigerian political system. But at least he has a system of his own. You understand my point? So let's look for people that has invested in Nigeria as a nation. Let's look for people that have their own identities as individuals, not that it's politics that made those people. How have those people made themselves outside politics? That's what we also need them. We need someone that will be able to let us know how they will be able to arrest these problems before they get into office. Practical nuance. Very recently, I stumbled on an interview that Peter Obi was making, and he said, we want ASU, this crisis, academic crisis, we want ASU to leave, to go back to the classroom. I am not ready to negotiate how you want to pay their money. He said, if we've been taking money little by little, that 100 billion or 1 trillion, if we've been giving them 100 billion per year, by now, in 8 years of this administration, we will have paid 800 billion out of 1 trillion. That way, Nigerians will be able to look at them and say, no, ASU, you are the one that is misbehaving. Security. Let us see someone that is ready to invest in technology, that will tell us how he wants to go about it. Let us see someone that has a leadership skill that can connect other nations of the world to invest in our dear nation, Nigeria. Then we are talking about the presidential aspirant, not someone that will just come and all you have to campaign on is the backdrop of the failure of subsequent administrations. No, we need you to think solution-based. Think of solutions for this nation. Then you can prove to me that you are a worthy presidential aspirant, and not an SSC holder, by the way.
I didn't see that coming. So for citizens who may feel marginalized at this point, and especially in the South, especially citizens from the South who feel like, yes, we need someone from our own side to take responsibility and all that. Meanwhile, you have said that what we need is a national leader and not necessarily someone from whether South or North. How do we appeal to their conscience?
You see, first things first, they need to understand that even if they go on their own, they would have problem. So what I would recommend that they do, they have a Peter Obi. Peter Obi is from their side. They have Ayin, the Speaker of the Second Republic of the Senate. They have a good number of them that are coming out to vie for the position of presidency. Why not call your leaders to a town hall meeting?
Including the
harmonized
Southwest too?
You understand? No, let's say, I'm even saying now it's the IPOB that they are probably having the most issues now.
Okay.
They've never had the shot at the presidency. Southwest have had it. The South has had it. The Wikis have had it. The Goodluck Jonathan was the one that left there before Buhari came in.
Okay.
So let them harmonize themselves. Come out with a candidate. Mobilize support for your candidate. Do not be the same. Act like an Hausa man. What an Hausa man knows is go. You will never hear an Hausa man condemn his own in the public. You will never hear it. with the way Buhari is misbehaving, if not because when the Northern Elders Forum started to come out to talk, when have you ever heard they will tell you they are the ones in power? That's how they are brought up. So support your own. Don't be the one to castigate or nail that your own. If you want to correct him, don't wash your dirty linen outside. That way, when you're able to come up with a formidable candidate, then convince Nigerians why they should support you. I bet you an Igbo candidate will get more appeal to sympathy now because, like never before, people have felt like they've been shortchanged. So they will get sympathy votes from Nigerians like yourself and I.
So sympathy votes.
But you must produce somebody first.
Now, should it now be about sympathy votes?
Well, like I said, let them come together. Let them harmonize their own first off. Let them bring a candidate to Nigeria that can at least is sellable to Nigerians. Then, all that one is politicking. But the homework is bring forth a candidate that is sellable to Nigerians. If you ask me today, as a person, in the Yoruba land, we have a lot of people. Dele Momodu, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. Well, I'm not a fan of Tinubu, I must say. That's my own sentiment. He was the chancellor of my institution for about 8 years, and I knew how well he folded his arms and watched his two boys, Ajimobi and Aregbesola, destroyed Ladoke Akintola University of Technology. So I'm not sorry to say that I don't support him by any chance. And he so many issues of falsification of age, falsification of certificates all on his neck, and the way he has monopolized the economy of Lagos State is also there. So, but I'm not bad-mouthing him. If the Yoruba people feel like they want him, so be it. Congratulations to them. But I will never give my vote to Tinubu, and that is fine now. But there are a lot of people in the Southwest that wants to run. Kayode Fayemi, I'm hearing that probably might declare his intention after the Muslim fast, and they're saying probably might declare after Easter. Yemi Osinbajo is there, Dele Momodu is there. So many people that are coming from Southwest that can run for presidency. But for me, what I feel is show credibility. Show the fact that you can lead Nigerian people. Come together in your house, harmonize your own, then come out to Nigerians and let us see how we're going to win the election by the numbers.
So, on the final note, you made mention of the fact that people make the institutions.
Yes.
So if we have good people, there will be good institutions. And I feel that these institutions spread around from the top to bottom.
Yes.
So how can we encourage our people to be good people? And the reason why I'm saying this is because even beyond positional leaders, I personally have seen how Nigerians do things. And for me personally, this is my personal opinion now, I can see that we are not doing well as a people. Even as a people. And that's why I appreciate the fact that you linked institutions with good people. So how can we encourage our people to be good people? How can we help them see that it starts from us as individuals?
Well, let me start by saying I was on air a few days ago and I was handling the topic World Health Day, United Nations World Health Day. And when I started the show, I sang this song that we grew up singing. Ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. Ìmọ́tótó ilé, ìmọ́tótó ara, ìmọ́tótó ló lè ṣẹ́gun àrùn gbogbo. They used to tell us that cleanliness is next to godliness. When we were growing up, punctuality was a thing of pride. In fact, when they give us best students in secondary school then, they'll say in character and in academics. Morals were important virtues. When we were growing up, today, I find it hard to steal. Not because people are stealing and getting caught, or not because people are stealing and going away with it, but it's because I had home training that probably has just made it. I will not just find it convenient in myself to steal. Same way I'll find it as a struggle to lie. Same way I'll find it as a struggle not to be able to speak the truth when I'm supposed to say it. Because as I was brought up. So going back to the family, that's what I'm saying. To fix institutions, you have to fix the families. To fix institutions, you have to fix the backgrounds. To fix institutions, you have to fix your homes, the schools. Today, a recent statistic came out that WAEC wants to penalize some schools. I think here in Oyo State and some other places, because they were involved in examination malpractice. When we were growing up, when I wrote my first WAEC, it was my teachers that were serving as extra invigilators to WAEC invigilators. in such a way that it's our own teachers that will even apprehend us if we are caught turning our neck or trying to talk to somebody next door. Our teachers will have planted the seed of fear of examination malpractice inside our chest even before we had to go to the exam hall. So when they are saying examination malpractice, it sounded like it's abnormal in my space, but today it's becoming the new normal. You hear parish centers, you hear clinical. So we have to go back to the home. What are you teaching your children? Are you teaching your children to get quick syndrome? A child that probably has not started counting millions and billions at the age of 2021, he starts feeling like, oh, he's not equal to his peers. Where's the place of hard work? Where's the place of constancy? All of those natural principles to success in life, they are now making them abnormal principles to success in life. The normal one is shortcuts, fast corners. And I'm not saying people are not doing well for themselves, even cutting corners. But if you have to cut corners, why not use sense? You understand? So for me, to build institutions, we have to go back to the home. We have to go back to the times when positive values and morals were taught from home. Then that way, it is those people that become good people. Sincerely yours, I've heard people say this a couple of times, that Damilola, if you ever become the governor or ever become the president, are you sure? We doubt if the system will not change you from who you are. And I told them, I've said this over and over again, if I ever have to hold any position of authority in Nigeria, if I find out that the system will change me, I'd rather resign and leave their system for me. Resignation is not a thing that we are used to around here, but probably I'll be one of the first set of it. I cannot have people killing themselves, dying, embezzling money under my own nose, and I'll still sit down there and be saying, what am I dragging? So we have to go back to the homes. The homes is the bedrock of any institution of any society. A home whereby when a child commits an offense, the parents will be the one to first scold that child. Not that the parents will be the ones to... In fact, this just reminded me. My mom and my dad will tell me that, Damilola, if you are caught stealing outside, we will be the one to hand you over to the people that will deal with you. That's the values that we grew up with. So where did you all go to now? Why the sudden surge of indecent dressing? Those days, when you want to take cigarettes, you look for a corner to go and take it. Today, broad daylight, they are taking cigarettes. What happened? So the bedrock is the house. Let's fix our families. Let's fix our homes. Then let us also build institutions that will be able to caution people. EFCC should not be after your boys every now and then. The policemen should not be doing stop and search for innocent young Nigerians that are just dressing well. Tackle the people that have embezzled money. Go after you have a civil servant that is earning money. Before he becomes a director, probably it takes about 10, 15 years or 18 years before he gets there. But he becomes a director 1 year, he builds 3 houses on Banana Island. Those are the kind of people that you should question. When you see people getting money and they'll question them, how did you get your money? So let us build institutions that will be able to also bring erring officials to book. That way we fix the system gradually. Obasanjo just started EFCC so as to ensure that we can be able to catch corrupt government officials. But then it was also used as a witch hunting tool. Anybody that is against the government, they use it to nab you. So I feel we should be able to, once we're able to tackle the old, build institutions that will hold people that are committed, that are found guilty, responsible, we can fix our system.
We can fix our system with the whole. Thank you very much, Damilola, for joining me on this episode. I so much appreciate, and I'm hoping that whoever listens to this can catch one of the things and make quality decisions ahead of the 2023 general elections. All right. Thank you for joining in again this week, and I hope you had a good time. Please ensure to subscribe to this channel from wherever you listen to podcasts. Special thanks to my sound engineer, Tom Lucky Media. Till I come your way next time, stay lifted.